What is going on, you guys? My name is CodyT503 and this is the Interesting Podcast. We're coming to you guys live on July 10th, 2024 for episode 100, where today we actually have the return of a very, very special guest. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Rashad Tyson.
Hey, real talk. Happy to be back. Thank you, Cody.
Oh man, how are you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm good. I'm trying to beat this heat right now. It's so hot outside. I don't even want to go outside. I usually love like good weather like this, but it hurts to be outside right now.
Oh, that is so awesome. Well, let's just start out for everybody who maybe doesn't know you. Maybe you can reintroduce your name, where you're from, and maybe what you've been up to since the last time that we talked.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Rashad Tyson, also known as Real Talk, or Camp Counselor Coleman if you've ever been to SOS down in Tacoma, or the artist formerly known as Rashad Tyson if you've ever been to Peak Sports Entertainment in Everett, Washington. I'm a professional wrestler in the Pacific Northwest. I train at the Lionsgate Dojo in Surrey, Canada, and I'm a former trainee at the Dragonplex Dojo in Everett, Washington as well. I hope that's a good introduction. Also have a YouTube channel. Follow me at the Rashad Tyson or Real Talk Rashad Tyson.
That is so crazy. Well, like I know one thing that I wanted to talk to you about in this podcast was like you having like three different characters in three different areas, you know, where it's like you have Rashad Tyson down here in Oregon, and then you have up in Washington the characters that you're building, and then up also in Canada the characters that you're actually building. So how does it feel to have multiple characters in multiple different companies?
Honestly, sometimes it's a lot to juggle. I've been fortunate enough to have a good team around me. If it's like not only my peers, also the promoters, helping me kind of figure out what I should be doing. Um, it's a lot to juggle, but at the same time, I'm having so much fun doing it. Like I never would have thought in a million years I could be a camp counselor, an artist, and whatever the hell real talk is, all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, so like how is it like actually coordinating with all of those other company owners and then having them kind of have to gauge with what you want to do with your overall character, but then also have to build a storyline within that company? How is that?
Um, it's I always kind of just do what when I'm asked. As long as the promoters are happy,
Mhm.
as long as everyone can go home after the match to their families in like a safe state, and as long as the fans are happy, I try to deliver like what I can with that. With that being said, like I said, it's a lot to juggle. As far as like the creative aspect of it, like Camp Counselor Coleman, thank goodness, is only an SOS thing. I would love to do that gimmick maybe somewhere else as well, but like being able to have it kind of like an SOS exclusive makes it that much more special. Like once a month, I get to be like a camp counselor. Same thing with like being the artist at Peak Sports Entertainment. So, like once a month, I get to wear face paint and wrestle with no shoes and pretty much be a living Bugs Bunny. And then like some of the stuff I'm doing in Canada right now, I know, right? And some stuff I'm doing up in Canada right now, I think it's the most like base version of myself. And then out east in Richland, and at this company called Combat Pro in Linwood, but this place in Richland, I've had a lot of fun at. It's called Reactivate. Um, I am doing a presidential campaign character over there right now because it is an election year. So like just being able to, it's a lot. It's a lot. I have a closet full of random costumes that I have to like bust out like once a week.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. So like what like actually made you want to do that whole campaign aspect?
Oh, so like it was I got so long story short, I had this idea like back in 2023 because it's the election year 2024, and I was like, okay, I can only do this for 1 year because like if in 2025 there's no election, so it's not gonna work. So like I pitched it to one of the promoters. Aaron Grossearth and Aaron Fowler, both Aarons over at Reactivate, and like they were on board for from jump. And then same thing with Yvonne Sieber down in Combat Pro. Like I pitched her this idea. I'm like, hey, I just want to be like a really evil campaign. I want to be an evil presidential campaign gimmick. Like I have the logo. I have suits and ties. Like just let me try this once. She's like, yeah, we can do it for just for the year. So yeah, and like especially with like I don't like mixing politics. Like I don't really follow it or anything, but I do love seeing just like stupid people say stupid things on microphones. So if I can do that in a wrestling aspect, I am all about
that. Oh, that is so awesome. Yeah, I was like kind of like going throughout your social media recently, and I noticed that you were actually in a steel cage match. And I don't
Yeah.
know, like, was that for Reactivate Pro Wrestling?
That was for All Star Wrestling in Vancouver.
Okay. Okay. So like can you kind of like walk us through that whole match? Like how are you feeling that night actually stepping into a steel cage?
Oh man. Okay, so this was a blow off match for a few that my friends, the Moral Panic and I, Moral Panic. If you haven't followed Moral Panic online, they're so fun. Ren Yoshino and Top Speed Tommy Chan. But we were in a war game style match. Granted, there's only one ring, and it was 5-on-5 elimination. And myself and this gentleman by the name of Bryce Lowe, the gambler. He's up in Canada. He's honestly one of my biggest rivals in the past 2 years. He and I have battled at least like 6 or 7 times just in like a 9 month span. But he and I both started, and then we both finished the match. I'll be honest with you, that cage was super scary. You don't realize how sharp the edges of the cage are until you're thrown into them, and then you go to the back and your back's just all like bit up. Oh man, it was kind of rough. But yeah, it was cool. It was a fun environment. First time I've ever been in a cage, let alone to be in a cage with like two of my closest friends, and like getting in there with like Matt Ecstatic and Danny Deeds. They're two Vancouver-based guys, and then battling like Christopher Rysick and Azim the Dream up in Canada as well too, and then the Big Stack Bullies. Like it was a lot, but like I said, like 10 people inside of a cage, it got crowded really really fast.
Yeah. So like what was your like initial thoughts when you were actually presented that opportunity where somebody said, "We want you to actually compete in this type of match." What was going through your mind when you actually heard the news?
I was excited because like it's my first ever cage match, but then like I kind of like start hearing like what the game plan was, like 10 people inside of a cage. I was like, all right, it's gonna get a little crowded. We can work around this. But yeah, but just from jump, I was very excited about it. Corey Toth up in Canada, he runs All Star Wrestling. It's one of the longest running promotions in the area. But yeah, he had a lot of faith in us to put on a good show. I'm glad that we were able to have that opportunity as well too. But like I said, like it was, man, 10 people inside of a cage. It got crowded so fast. And like I said too, that cage is so sharp. My back was so cut up after that match.
So like what was your most hard-hitting point in that match?
Oh my gosh, there's two specific points. Um, there's this guy by the name of Bruiser Joe. Excuse me. He's the manager of the Big Stack Bullies. But he was like rubbing my face in the steel cage on the outside, and like there's like I don't you can kind of see it, but I have like a little scar like right here. And like my face started bleeding, and then like it stopped bleeding when I went back inside the cage. But like I was like trying to fight him off. I'm like, dude, like you're shoving my face in the steel. Like this really really hurts. But at the same time, like I just kicked him in the gut like 4 or 5 times and went on my way. But then the second part that I was like, well, this was a big regret. Uh, Bryce and I were the last two standing. We made our way to the top of the cage, and we're kind of fighting on top of the cage, and like, dude, we're like 20 feet up in the air. It was scary as hell. And then he gets like bopped off and he falls. And I have a moment where I can like, cool, I'm gonna jump off this cage now. And like I get to the top of the cage, I put both my feet on the sides, and my feet start slipping. And like, dude, I'm about to like eat it like in front of like 200, 300, 400 people. And like, I'm like, screw it, I'm not gonna do it. So like, I like jumped down, did like a little springboard off the top rope, and tried to go for a swanton. Missed it. There's like a picture on my Instagram or and my Twitter if you find it. But it's like the face of instant regret because, man, I hit that mat so hard after missing that swanton. But yeah, like just those two moments in particular, like worth the cage match and instant regret for the cage match rolled into one.
Oh, that is so interesting. I know when I was actually like going throughout your photos, I saw that moment in which you and somebody else, like he was hanging over the steel cage and then you were climbing up on it. So like how is it like actually going throughout those high risk maneuvers and then not knowing like somebody could like fall off the side of the cage or like go right accidentally and then they just slam down. Like we've seen a lot of accidents throughout pro wrestling history. So like having those high risk maneuvers, how is it going throughout those as a performer? There you go.
Um, you know, when my feet started slipping, on the steel, I was instantly reminded of a moment. We had this show that we run for students at Lionsgate Dojo. It's called Dojo Wars, but essentially we put on like a student show in front of like our peers and like get feedback from our coaches. But I was competing in one of those, and I'll if you remind me later, I'll send you the clip. But like I tried with like so like in the Lionsgate Dojo we have two rings. They're kind of side by side, and I tried springboarding from one ring into the other ring. But then like I was on the corner and like I started falling and slipping because like it was like a pool noodle on along like the metal part of it. So like you see me like falling and slipping, and I'm like, screw it. I just jumped down and I kind of just like went to like the other ring and just jumped in from the initial ring into the ring we were originally in. But I was trying to jump from like one ring into the other ring, right? So like that memory popped into my head right when that was happening. And I remember very vividly my coach was like, good thing you improvised and didn't try to commit to it. Because if you had like slipped and fell, it would have ruined everything. So like at that exact moment, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna improvise. I'm not gonna climb to the top of this cage anymore. I'm gonna jump down, I'm gonna do my Swanee. And I remember I was talking to it was Max from Boom, Max Mitchell. He runs Boom Pro Wrestling up in Vancouver. But he told me like it was after the show. He walked up to me. He's like, "Dude, good job not jumping off the cage. We all saw you slipping. Good choice not to jump." So like, I'm glad I didn't jump because again, had I fallen in front of everyone, that probably would have been the most embarrassing thing that could possibly happen to me at that exact moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the photo in which you were doing almost like a swanton. Like, was that just off of like the top rope, or was that off of the top of the steel cage? Because it seemed
That was
like in the second photo, like you slammed pretty good on onto the mat.
oh, bruv. Okay, so that was off the top rope. I like jumped down and just went off top rope. But you can ask a couple people. Recently, my swantons have been like crouton bombs. Like I need to either like adjust it or like find a way to like not kill everyone when I do a swanton. I'll I'll like make a clip later on and I'll tag you in it. But like, bruv, like doing these swantons, like I like whip my legs now when I'm doing like the initial flip. So I have like a lot of like velocity coming back down when I'm like actually landing on my back. So like yeah, when I hit the mat, it you can see me kind of like go into the mat and like ugh, no more swantons for a while. Let's just say that.
Oh, that is so interesting. Yeah, I also saw at ASW that you were a part of like a battle royal. So it was like, is there any actual stipulations in which like you really look forward to, or are there like some of your maybe favorites when it comes to stipulated matches?
Um, I mean, like, I've always wanted to be in a ladder match, so one of these days, hopefully. Battle royals are always tricky, because you never really know what you're getting yourself into, and it's just literally a free for all at certain points. You know, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of battle royals. I like the Royal Rumble aspect of it. If I do like multi-man matches where it's like that, you know, like one at a time, because when we're all in there at the same time, it just gets so chaotic so fast. And like if you're trying to do anything and then someone's like, okay, now it's my turn to hit you, and I'm like, okay, I was gonna kick this guy in the face, but I guess I'm gonna do this now. But yeah, like stipulation matches are always interesting. It's one of those things where like if I vibe with it right away, I'll get excited, but if I don't, then I have to get myself excited about it. So like it's it's a mixed bag of yeah, it's a mixed bag. It's just say that.
That is so interesting. Yeah, well, one thing that like I've always wanted to like really ask somebody is like, so you know how going throughout your professional wrestling career, like your job is to not only help yourself get over, but help the other person get over. But in the same exact aspect, you also have to look out for your own career because if you were to get signed to WWE, you would be signed to WWE. It wouldn't be any other person following you. So you also have to look out for what you're doing as far as your career is going. So how do you go about that and how do you kind of gauge when it's time for you to kind of look after yourself?
You know, I always tell this to like, 'cause like I don't consider myself a rookie, but at the same time, I don't consider myself a veteran. Like I've been doing this for a long time, but like at the same time, like not long enough to have any sort of vet card. And like
Yeah.
with that being said, like wrestling is not like a one person thing. You can't just wrestle by yourself unless you're like Kota Ibushi fighting Yoshinoko. But like if you get the opportunity, please watch that. It's literally Kota Ibushi versus a blow up doll. But like it's so good. I promise you, it's so good. With that being said, though, like I try to be as selfless as I possibly can, especially these days. Like, yeah, if you get signed to WWE, like it's just your journey, and I get that. But at the same time, though, they will go through all your social media, and they will find whatever the X factor that might hurt, your credibility or your like they're interested in investing into you, like if you have something that you posted years ago that could offend someone, that will come up eventually. So like it's also like
Mhm.
I would want to, like, if I were to ever make it to WWE, like I want to get there because like I was a guy who always did what he was asked for, shook everyone's hands, wasn't like a cancer in the locker room, try to be like the most genuine person I possibly could be. But at the same time, like if as far as getting over, like they'll react to you whether you win or lose. It doesn't really matter whether you win or lose, right? Like I've seen people make more money at the merch table in a loss than they do in a win. Like, and it's that connection too. If me and my opponent can both connect with the crowd, and we're both doing our job. Like silence is deafening. Like if you go out there and you're not, like, if they're not vibing with it, if they're not about it, like you will know right away. And like as far as like getting over and like making sure that like I'm looking out for myself, like the only thing I'm looking out for myself is to make sure that like I'm not doing anything that's gonna like get me killed or hurt or crippled. Like I would like to think that we'd all want to make it to like work if we have like a regular job outside of wrestling on like Monday, versus like can we do like a Spanish Canadian destroyer off the top rope through 3 flaming tables? Like that's not gonna get you over. It's gonna be like an awesome highlight clip, And even then, I don't think the Fed's gonna look at you and be like, "Oh my God, we need to sign that guy who just did a Canadian destroyer through 3 flaming tables." I hope that answered the question.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Um, Yeah, I don't know. So it's like when you're actually sitting there and like you're trying to introduce something to a new promotion, like let's say you step into a new promotion, how is it for you when you're actually trying to gauge with them on your interests as far as pro wrestling is concerned, as compared to maybe somebody else's interest or your opponent in which you have to face in that promotion?
Um, Drexel taught me this, and I don't really talk to Drexel as often as I used to. But he said storytelling is what keeps them invested. Like telling a good story. No move in the world is gonna keep them invested. Like just looking at like what WWE is doing right now, the stuff with the Bloodline and Judgment Day, so good. I don't care if they're having a match Friday or Monday. Like I will watch just to see what happens next. Um, But as far as like pitching stuff to like promotions, like usually these days, if I like if I come to a promotion, they at least know of me. Maybe not know like my entire catalog of work, but they know of me. So like I have like the base of like what real talk is, you know, and even then I can go into different ventures of that. Like I can be a social media influencer. I could just be like your straight up like generic baby face. I could be like the most dastardly heel you've ever seen, or I could be, you know, the artist, which I've only done at Peak, or I could be Camp Counselor Coleman, which I've only done at SOS. But you know, it's just finding that balance. I think that like if a promotion gives you an opportunity, like you have to be able to seize it. Like from like the entrance to the stuff you do in the ring to leaving something to plant for like a story down the line. A little side note story. I wrestled for this company named Boom a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't even booked on the card. Like I was like a last minute replacement because my coaches both got COVID, so they needed someone to replace them. And I remember when I got there, they told me I had about 30 seconds worth of like a promo, so I had to be like, dang, I have to like be able to like connect with the audience and then also plant something for like down the road. So like I cut a promo and I pretty much said like me and my two best friends, the moral panic. Sorry, it's a habit. But like I planned like you know I I kind of planned in this promo like I want to you know work with these two as like kind of like we're like a cohesive unit down the line and hopefully you know it clicks. And it kind of did. And you know battling like Kyle Fiennes, who's their like Vince McMahon type character, like you know everyone loves seeing like the underdog fight like the boss with like all like the baddies around them. So again, like it's just being able to like do long-term storytelling and then also like as far as like what your character presents what you present to the promoter is what their vision is because like not every promoter is going to be sharing the same vision, you know. Not every promotion needs a Camp Counselor Coleman. You know, they might need a real talk. If they don't even need a real talk, they might need an artist. If they don't need that, then like how could I be able to provide for this company one way or another, you know?
Yeah. So here's two questions. So like what was one story in which a actual company presented to you that you felt the most comfortable where you actually felt like I can do that? And then on the flip side, what was one other story in which you were presented where you were like, I'm a little bit hesitant on it?
Um, as far as like one I was like really excited about, the stuff I'm doing at Peak right now is very interesting. Like I know we talked about like the artist gimmick a while ago, but like when I first started that, like I thought it was gonna
Mhm.
be like the Black Swan, and like now down the road, I'm like, okay, cool. The artist is a guy who watched the movie The Black Swan and thinks Natalie Portman is the Black Swan, and like now it's just evolved to this like Looney Tunes character. I have gloves and a giant mallet, like. So like this the stuff I'm doing at Peak, like, and then like also the creative freedom of just like being able to take this character into different directions, and then being able to like dude, one of the most exciting rivalries I've been in this year, probably my entire career, it was myself and the Moral Panic versus the Academy and Gordon Shanley. Like we were trying to literally like one up each other and say this is art, this is art, this is art. And like I remember like after each show I would talk with the Moral Panic and be like, all right guys, what's next? What are we gonna do next? What are we gonna do next? Like one show we were the Super Mario Bros. And Peach. The next show we're dressing up like our opponents. The next show we're like literally smashing giant paintings over each other's heads. Like it was so nuts. But yeah, like just like that, but like that story and like that rivalry and like everything that evolved from that was probably something I've most been excited in my time. Close second is everything I've done with Camp Counselor Coleman because like the promoter at SOS has given me pretty much like you have an idea what this character is supposed to be, go out there and do it. You know, like these are the beats we need from you, but like your character, you have a good idea about it. On the flip side of that though, one story I was not really vibing with off rip. Um, oh boy, this is like years ago, but I used to wrestle for this company called Cascade Championship Wrestling uh, over in Spokane, like when I first started out, and like I was supposed to team with this I was supposed to team with this guy who like granted we were not we were both weren't at like a level where we should be like, you know, where we both feel comfortable being in front of crowds and like honing our craft and being like technicians and fine tuning our skills. But we had a rivalry, and then we started tagging together. And I was like, this makes no sense. Like, there's no reason we should be tagging together. There's no reason like we should be like we should go from like bitter rivals to like best friends in a tag team. And then let alone now we're both wearing masks. Like, no, this is stupid. Like, and like the promoter didn't like, the company folded. So like, in my opinion, I don't think the promoter really knew what he was doing, or he was kind of taking advantage of like, his like who he had at his disposal. Sorry, it's a little TMI. Sorry for spilling the tea, but like, like that was one I wasn't really too invested in. And then like, I just kind of pulled out of that company, and I just didn't really want to vibe with it anymore. I hope that answered that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So here's one thing that I wanna ask you. I find really really interesting is that like, so have you ever heard of like pro wrestling trainers almost not really training professional wrestlers to actually be professional? And so then when they go into professional wrestling companies, maybe they're not trained at the level in which they should be. And I can't imagine the amount of wrestlers that could have been absolutely amazing, but yet they actually got that ill-willed trainer. You know what I mean? Like I can't
I do.
imagine
I do.
those many people that. Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting. So like what is your thoughts on like something like that?
So I've been fortunate enough to train with like Dave Turner and Chris Ross at Dragonplex. They really harped on like the professional aspect of wrestling, like shake everyone's hands, do your job, clean up after yourself, just like the basic stuff to not be a crappy human being, which is something that you think you shouldn't have to like, teach someone, but like, yeah, but like they also they taught you like how to wrestle and like like psychology and everything too. But like that's the stuff that like I feel like some coaches like I haven't been able or I haven't run into that with fortunately with my coaching. Um, but like I feel like that is something that like does need to be brought up at when you are first starting off, like just like how to conduct yourself, because like you rub someone the wrong way and you're out. Like it's there's because like wrestling is very much like a revolving door. Like I look at like Rhea Ripley on TV right now. I think she's one of the most dominant champions of the past like 10, 20 years in the women's division. And then like in her absence, we had Becky win a title, and we had to live on like an amazing run right now. And like again, she's gonna come back, but like it's a revolving door. The world will still be here even after we're gone. So like leave a good mark. With that being said, though, like my other coaches in Lionsgate, Nicole Matthews specifically, because I've trained with her the most. She gave me one of the best pieces of advice as far as like wrestling is concerned. Don't be an asshole. Which you think you, which you think like shouldn't like be something that you have to kind of like tell your students. But like I kind of thought about it because like I was unfortunately in a locker room recently with someone who did not conduct themselves very well on social media, and you can feel the vibe, man. It's like, dude, like if you're gonna be like a bully online and like also be like a bully in real life, like no one wants to vibe with you, man. No one's gonna be excited to work with you, and like
Yeah.
if you're also gonna take liberties with someone, like dude, get the fuck out. Sorry for my language. Like
Nope.
I have
Go
no
ahead.
sympathy. I was on a PG show, cool. I can say anything I want to. But yeah,
Oh, go
I
ahead.
have like no sympathy for people who are like mean, disrespectful people in this business. Like we had enough of that. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. And then like at the end of the day too, like we're all friends, like maybe like
Mhm.
rivals in the ring, but like I like to think that we all can all at least be professional when we leave the building and when we see each other and shake hands and everything.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah, because
that's just my
yeah, I like I've heard from like Spencer Scott, I asked him like what would be one piece of advice if you were to ever tell somebody if they wanted to get into this industry, and he said obviously don't be an idiot. And then Caden Cassidy on the flip side said don't steal anybody's shit. So it's like, have you ever kind of seen like maybe like that little bit of drama backstage where it's like somebody was just not vibing with people and it's like they were just doing things in which they shouldn't have been that were maybe unprofessional?
I mean, I'll be the first one to say I did something like that. Like, but like, I like to think that, yeah, absolutely. Like, and like, you live and you learn. It's also like, if you do something like that, own up to your stuff. Like, if you're being a
Mhm.
jerk, apologize. I think people take this business too seriously at times. Like, the base of what we're doing is entertainment. Like, if you were not entertaining, like the people in the audience, you're not doing your job. So if you're going out there and you're like 5'5" and you're presenting yourself as like a Braun Strowman character, like, no, man, like that's not how this works. Like, they're like stay within the realm of realism with me, man. Come on, because like all I have to do is say, hey, Caden, that guy's being a jerk, and Caden Cassidy's gonna throw you out of the building, literally. Yeah, I'm like um, I think it was like last year. Someone, I'm not gonna name any names, but like someone told someone I was stealing moves, and I had receipts. And not only did I present said receipts, but like, you know, I'm glad that it was addressed because like I wasn't. And then like when it was like brought to their attention, of course they apologized. But then like it's just like, dude, why are we causing drama for no reason? Like, let alone like when someone has receipts, like once the receipts are brought up, now like now you're in the position, that you messed up, right? Like I
Mhm.
said before, like I'm not in this business to like make enemies. I am not in this business to like, have this massive ego. I just want to have fun. I just want to have fun. I want my friends to get over. I want the crowd to be entertained. I want everyone to have fun. Because like again, this is entertainment at the end of the day. If we're not having fun, then what the hell are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, so like do you think that like it is kind of like okay for like two wrestlers to kind of have like the same signature moves or finishers or maybe whatever as long as it's actually getting over with the crowd?
I think there are different philosophies to that. Like, let's see. If I'm on the same show with Jaden, I'm not gonna do the DVD driver. Like, there's no reason to. Like, he does it better than me. Like, if I'm on the same show as like Spencer Scott, I'm not gonna do like a Swanton bomb. He does it better than me, right? Like, it's all. But again, it's all like context is important, right? Like, like you can't tell someone not to do a suplex. Everyone does a suplex. You can't tell someone not to do a scoop slam or like a punch. Everyone does that to some extent, right? So like as far as like
Mhm.
signature moves are concerned, like if it's your move, like I totally believe like you should not be using other people's moves. Like there's no reason I should be doing the why you tripping from
Yeah.
Jaden. Like that is Jaden's move. Like him like having you like fall while he's like on a like tabletop and throw your leg down, kick you in the face. That is Jaden's move. We all know that's Jaden's move. If anyone's ever seen a Jaden match, they know that is his move. Same thing with like Zeb Saint right now has this like sweet move right now. It's like a cravat driver. He does like a flip with it. So fun. If I ever see anyone do that move at a show, like I'm gonna like I will let Zeb know and Zeb will handle that because that's because Zeb can't handle that. Um, but at the same time too, like like if like I don't know, if Caden Cassidy told me, hey Rashad, you can't do a scoop slam, I'm doing it. I'll look at him and be like, you know what? You can't. Yeah, you can say that because you're a big ass dude. Like I can't tell you can't do a scoop slam. But if I tell him that, then it makes no sense because like with my size, I shouldn't be scoop slamming a bunch of people. Um, Again, different
Mhm.
philosophies. Like I don't think there's inherently people's moves that are like theirs. Like I do think that there are moves that like, especially around this area, like if you see someone do that move, like don't do it, right? Like also like the tombstone, like we all know who does the tombstone on TV. Like if you do it in front of a crowd, like congratulations, the crowd's gonna think of the Undertaker, not you. So like, I don't know, just my 2 cents, just my 2 cents.
Yeah, so like do you also feel like it's mostly like veterans that are able to actually sit there and like reserve those moves as like I've been doing this for this amount of years. This is my finisher as far as my character goes. So for you to come in and do it, it's almost disrespectful. And it's like how is it kind of building a character and wanting to know your whole repertoire, but then not knowing exactly the moves in which you can actually perform it.
I think a lot of this is just off my personal experience. I think a lot of moves per se, kind of come from who your coach is, and then also what inspires you, like from what you've seen. So like excuse me, there is a specific reversal to a wrist lock that everyone from Lionsgate Dojo does if they have ever trained with Nicole Matthews. Like once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Again, if I find that clip, I'll send it to you. With that being said, though, like one of my other coaches, Tony Baroni, I don't get to train with him that often. He usually runs Saturday classes, but dude, that dude has so much wisdom. I've learned so much from him. But he told me straight up, like, I will never use the vet card. I don't need to. Like, real vets don't need to use the vet card. I was like, that's so cool. I never really thought about that. And then he's like, he told me if someone wants to do my finisher, go ahead and do it, because you're not gonna do it as good as I'll do it. And then when I do it, people are gonna be like, oh, his is way better. Like, you know, like the crowd will dictate how people should respond, and they will respond accordingly to moves. Like, I dare anyone in this area to try to do a frog splash on the same show that Jaden does a frog splash, because I guarantee you Jaden will do it better. Just my 2 cents.
Oh, that is so awesome. I know one thing I wanted to bring up to you was actually I saw this photo that you shared earlier against your match against Rook Kelly, and you were
Oh,
actually standing on Daryl's shoulders, and then I don't know if you guys went through the table just because of like it was just a still pot like or still shot photo. Like, did that actually occur? Because like actually standing on somebody's shoulders and then going through a table has got to be a little bit nerve-wracking.
oh yeah. So this was for a company called Timber Pro Wrestling. I think that was their last show, unfortunately. But yeah, we were doing like a no ring show, and at that point last year, I had been doing no ring shows for almost an entire calendar year, which, you know, they're fun, but they hurt. So with that being said, like I wish another clip I have to send you eventually. Rook Kelly and I were like battling on top of a table in that same venue, and then the table snapped on us, and then we both got pretty much impaled by the table. So like that was like the end of the match, where I was like standing on his on Daryl's shoulders to jump on Rook Kelly. But yeah, we went through that table, and it hurt. And thank God that was the end of the match, because that is, man, I still have this scar on the side of my hip from that match. Like I was like just cut up all the way down, like out the downside side of my hip from that match. It was fun, but it hurt. Let's just say that.
Oh, that is so awesome. Well, I know like one inspiration that like you really, really have with yourself is Cody Rhodes. And you had actually almost like gotten like a coat that was like almost like a complete depiction of Cody Rhodes. So like when did you actually try to incorporate that?
Oh man. Okay, so this is story time. I'll try and make this long story short. So I was at
No, go
Combat
ahead.
Pro. I was at Combat Pro, I believe in March, and I was in this, I did like an open challenge for my cruiserweight title. There was 4 of us, and I was like stomping this guy in the corner, and I looked over into the crowd, and this woman had like a full like Cody Rhodes replica jacket, and as I'm like kicking this guy, I'm like, hey, nice jacket. Where'd you get it from? And she's like, oh, I made it. And I was like, no way. I'm like, I want one. And she's like, okay, cool. And like again, we're having this conversation like mid-match. And like she's like, what do you want it to look like? And I was like, obviously Cody Rhodes. So I had at the time I had just gotten this like brand new blue, white, and like gold gear. So I remember I took a month off, and then I came back to the show. And I'm standing at the merch stand, and this guy walks over to me, and he's like, hey, we're wondering if you want to do a fitting real quick. And I was like, okay. So I walk over with him, and his wife's standing there, and she like hands me like that jacket you've seen. And I was like speechless for like a good 30 seconds. Like I almost cried. I think I did cry in the back. So like this is like the best gift everyone's ever given me. And I remember at the time I was wearing like my black and gold gear, but I went upstairs and changed just so I can wear the blue and the white gear. So I can wear this coat. But yeah, her name's Amy Stout. She's on Facebook. She actually makes coats for wrestlers. So if anyone's listening to this, you want a coat, contact Amy. She does great work. But yeah, it was a gift, dude. She wouldn't even accept money for it. Like I tried to like give her like anything. I had to like settle on like giving her a T-shirt, because I still feel guilty about it because like that's such a nice coat. That coat made me feel like I like leveled up. Yeah, that coat's awesome.
Oh, that is amazing. So like before we actually get into Mickey Mantoya, I want to ask you about a video that I saw the other day where it was almost you two wrestling in the ring, and then you were kind of producing a new finisher move, and it almost looked like a reverse crossroads. So like can you kind of like walk us through that whole process of you actually coming up with something new?
Yeah. So I was hanging out with some friends like a couple weeks prior to that, and I came up with this thing called the hate lock, and it looks like if you like it's like a hammer lock, and then you like switch your arms around and you reverse the grip on each side, and look like your arms look like you know like another the number 8 or the infinity sign. And then so that clip you saw was on a Wednesday, but on Tuesday I was at Lionsgate Dojo, and I got the opportunity to like I pitched this move to Travis Williams, and he was trying to help me kind of incorporate like what to do with it because I had the lock, but like not like the end to the lock. And like like I had more of an idea of what I wanted to do. That I'm like, okay, I definitely want her to do a move, not just a submission. So then I go to Dragonplex the next day, because like my the Moral Panic, left their I'm gonna do it every single time I say the name. But like they left their stuff at a show and I went to Dragonplex to go get it. And then like yeah, I was just running that move with Mickey to see how it felt. And I remember Dave was in the background and he was like, "Oh, you should do like a crossroads out of it." And I was like, "Okay." So I did, and yeah, that was like the end result. Yeah, I was just kind of messing around. It was like it was a spur of the moment and just trying to like come up with something different and new. Personally, I don't think it's where I need it to be. I'm gonna try to tweak it a little more, but you guys saw the version 1 of that, I guess.
Yeah. That is so interesting. Well, one thing that I also wanted to continue with you was cutting promos. So
Hmm.
like how is it like whenever you actually, because like I've heard from my mom, my brother, multiple people that like you are really good at cutting promos as far as that intensity. So how do you actually build that intensity before you actually go into the whole video as like this is what I'm thinking before I head in? What is your mindset heading into a promo?
Um, Keep it short. That's always my thing now. Just because like we're competing with TikTok, like you gotta keep your promo short. I don't want to listen to their. Also, like it's got to be interesting. Like it's got to be stuff going on during the promo, or else like people are gonna tune out. Like I know I have a short attention span. But yeah, I actually my buddy Ren Yoshino, I Moral Panic, but he's in the Moral Panic. But he's the guy I pitch most of my promo ideas to. He's got such a beautiful brain. Like he's very creative. He's very articulate. He knows like how to like he has like acting background too. So I pitched a lot of my stuff to him. I know we've been I know this is the third podcast. I can't remember when we did our first one, but if like most of my promos have gotten better since like I've been working with him. But yeah, like my brain always goes with keep it short, given like the intensity should be in waves, and then you should also like have a very definitive like beginning, middle, and end. Some guys will either like trail off for too long, or they just don't know when to end, or it'll end abruptly, and then you're just like, oh, what did I just watch? Also,
Yeah.
everyone out there right now, shoot your promos vertically. All right, we're competing with TikTok. No more of this. No more of this. We're doing this now, up and down. No more left and right, up and down. My 2 cents.
Oh my gosh, man, that is so awesome. So like how could you I'm sorry.
I'm
How
sorry.
could you actually how could you actually maybe explain to people who maybe don't understand the ebbs and flows of going throughout a professional wrestling career? Like how would you put that into your own words?
It's hard. You're going to miss a lot of time with friends and family. You're gonna have to sacrifice a lot of your time, and like you're gonna give and give and give, and you're gonna give and you keep giving, you're gonna keep giving, and then nothing's gonna come into return. But one day, it's all gonna be worth it. Um, but it's not easy. Anyone who's ever trying to get into this business, it's not easy. Even me, like I think I'm like 2 or 3 years in right now, at a good level, not like a backyard wrestling level. I'm 2 3 years in at a good level, and it's getting harder. Like your body's gonna hurt. Your it's wrestling's not cheap. It's expensive. If you want to like be taken seriously, you need to go to a legitimate school. You need to go to the gym. You need to diet. You need to eat right. You need to work out. You need to hone your craft. There's so much stuff you have to do. Like this is not an easy business to get into or stay in for that matter. But it's worth it in the end.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, it's worth it in the end. It takes a lot, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like I think that like that is really interesting if you look at like people that maybe don't understand like professional wrestlers or the things that you guys risk, like not having days off, having to go and work out, having to go to training, like maneuvering your characters, trying to come up with new moves, having to go to this promotion, doing this, like, traveling, coming back. Like, there's so much that goes into professional wrestling that I feel like people don't understand. And it's insane to think that people don't get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's wrestling's not
Yeah.
for everyone. I've had a couple. Gosh, I feel bad for even saying this. I have talked a couple people out of this business before. And again, they were like they first started off, and like I'm glad they didn't invest too much time into it. But I don't think a lot of people are ready to like sacrifice that much time. You are sacrificing a lot of time, man. Like it is like you're on the road like longer than you're at the venue. Like I'm driving down to Sacramento on Saturday. I'll spend collectively about 26 hours on the road, like, and for it's a great opportunity. But that's a whole weekend I'm gonna be missing out on for rest or hanging out with my family or hanging out with my partner. Like it's a lot, and like the thing the little bits of advice that I always give people when they're first getting into this business, remember your emotional anchor outside of the business. You need someone who's going to keep you grounded outside of wrestling. You need someone who's not in the realm of wrestling to be real with you. One of the biggest pieces of advice I ever got was from Max Burnside. He told me sometimes you need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture, and if you can't look at the bigger picture, then the small part of that world is probably not for you. But yeah, it's a lot. Like I said, I've missed birthday parties, I've missed weddings, I've missed like I missed when my friends' babies get born, and like all my friends were at the hospital at the time, and like I didn't get to welcome that kid in the world with my friends. But it's part of the business, and it's a tough pill to swallow, and it's also something that hopefully at the end of the day is worth it for all of us.
Yeah. That is so interesting. Well, I like as far as like the next topic that I wanted to talk to you about was actually SOS Pro Wrestling. And I saw a poster for Wet Hot Island Summer that is actually coming up. And you were like one of like the main people on that poster. So if I could ask you two-part questions. So one, what's one
Yeah.
thing that you absolutely love about SOS Pro Wrestling? And then how does it feel to actually be a showcase on a poster for a company like SOS?
Man, SOS probably between SOS or Peak or Boom Pro Wrestling, those are probably the three companies I'm having like the most fun at right now. Honorable mention to Reactivate. But specifically those three as far as like the fun part of it is concerned, because like I can literally like just be these exaggerated characters and it's so much fun. Um, and like SOS, like it's wacky, but it's also very professional and everyone's very level-headed. It's like, and like the talent level is also there. Like being in the locker room with guys like Cam August or like Pitfall Jones or like Steve Miggs, like guys who have been in this area and like been in this business for a while and have been on like bigger shows. Like Matt Brannigan was there like the last show, like Malcolm Flex. And as far as like being on the poster, like I'm just fortunate to be on there. I don't, it's not something I chase, it's not something I ask for, but it's to be given the opportunity to be featured front and center. Like I feel blessed that that the opportunity even presented itself. And like I said too, like the promoter of SOS, like has done a good job of like giving people opportunities and like going out of their way to like let you kind of have creative freedom if you do have like an over exaggerated character like this too. Especially the Camp Counselor Coleman gimmick. Like Coleman's an idiot, like for all intended purposes. Like and to go out there and like have fun doing that is just, it's so much fun. And then like, SOS is like one of the biggest shows in like the Pacific Northwest, at least in my opinion. And like just to be on IWTV as well through SOS, that's such a good feeling, man. That's so much fun. I'm having a blast just being at SOS.
That is so awesome. Yeah, I know. I saw Team Coleman versus Team Flex a few days ago, and I think you guys announced today exactly who was going to be on that team to
Yep.
face Team Flex. And my question for you was, how does it feel to like know exactly what's going to be happening on that show, but you're also like you're kind of teasing these fans of like, this is what could be happening. Do you have any predictions? Like, how is that as a professional wrestler kind of putting out those little teasers?
I like, there's like a fine line with it because you don't want to spoil anything. Not that we know of anything to spoil, but at the same time, it's like you want to keep them like invested of like why they should be excited about it. Like, I do believe this is one of the first elimination tag matches in SOS main event history. I think we're the main event. Don't quote me on that. But like, and then again to share the ring with like, Malcolm Flex, like Austin Oso, like Pitfall Jones, Casey Rasselhoff, Derek Shaw, like, those are all like, Kingpin Johnny Flynn, like, and Drake Quan. My Camp Counselor Coleman's best friend is Drake Quan. If you ever see Drake Quan, ask him about Camp Counselor Coleman. It's so much fun. But yeah, just to share the ring with those guys is just like, an honor. Like, those are all well-established guys. Those are all guys who've been in the area, who've been kicking ass since day one. Like, it's just so much fun. Wrestling is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be entertaining, and I'm happy to be doing both.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like SOS definitely has like a really interesting environment whenever like I've watched videos on YouTube and whatnot, where you guys have like the projector screen, you guys have all of the plants and whatnot, and it really brings in this whole environment. Do you really enjoy that about that whole company?
Oh, dude, I love it. Like, I'm a big guy on aesthetic. I think that's why I love Instagram so much. But yeah, just like, cause like it's Tacoma, like we're not anywhere near the water as far as like we're like Edison Square is concerned. But like looking at like, like the ring, you'd think that like the ocean's on the other side of the wall. And then like the announcers like Fuego and like Cody Von Whistler, like they do a good job setting the stage and the ambiance too. Like, man, like just the way that everything is set up at SOS, like the giant like wooden board that say SOS on it, that's so cool. I've never seen that at another company before. Like they go all out with making you feel like you were on a deserted island.
Interesting. Yeah. So could you actually explain to everybody who exactly is or Camp Counselor Coleman? There you go.
uh
Like explain
so
that whole character. There you go.
Camp Counselor Coleman is the head camp counselor of Camp Super Kick. He believes that every day is the last day of summer. Also, I think his slogan is hiking is mandatory, showering is optional, and every day is the last day of summer. He's also very prone to give out demerits if you don't follow the rules. I think Camp Counselor Coleman has given out an astonishing 4,626,421 demerits over his time at Camp SOS. Also, Camp Counselor Coleman's an idiot. Like, he loves camp games, but I don't think he understands how a phone works. So yeah, go Coleman. Coleman for president. I don't know.
So like what actually like drove you to have that original thought of like I could bring all of these aspects together and really make an entertaining character? And how is it for you just to build all of these characters and know that what you're going to be doing is going to be entertaining?
Man, you know, it's funny. Most of these characters, what I usually do if I like have an idea, I'll pitch it to my friends who are not in the wrestling sphere. Because if they laugh or they think it's entertaining, then I know it's going to work for a wrestling crowd. But the Camp Counselor Coleman idea, I actually I pitched to my girlfriend at the time, and I told her like I want to wrestle for this company. It's called SOS, but like I need a gimmick or something. And what were we watching? We were watching. It wasn't Wet Hot American Summer. We were watching some sort of movie with like a camp counselor on it, and she said you should be that. You should be him. So like Christina, if you're listening to this, thank you, Christina, for that. But like yeah, it was
Was it like American Pie or something?
no, it was something
No.
on Netflix. It's gonna bug me now. It's gonna pop in my head like an hour from now, and I'll message you. Oh my god, this is it. But yeah, it started off like that. She's like, you should be a camp counselor, and then like uh, not to break kayfabe, but like Drexel gave me this um, like story sheet of like how to like build like a character that they use in like English classes, and like I built the Camp Counselor Coleman thing using this this piece of paper. I kind of just filled in the blanks. By the time I got to the end of it, I'm like, this guy's an idiot. This is perfect. Yeah, that's how Camp Counselor Coleman kind of came about.
Oh, that is so interesting. Well, I know when I actually first interviewed Jaden, I was telling him that I find it really interesting that this is just something that like I kind of heard that you kind of take three characters in which you really, really love in professional wrestling, and then you take a few aspects of your own personality and mix them in with the things that you love about those characters. And that's when you come up with the actual professional wrestler that you would be. So, what are the kind of aspects of your own personality that you have actually brought forth in professional wrestling?
Oh man, that's a good question. That is a good question. You know, it really depends. I have, especially in this time and place in my career, like I do both heel and face, so it's kind of hard to like find what the exact thing is, and then to also throw in Camp Counselor Coleman and the artist is in there as well too. Like it's kind of hard to be like what aspect of my personality I would like throw into there. If I had to, it would when I'm a heel, it's specifically um my insecurities. Like I will surround myself with like other heels to make myself feel big. I will talk crap on a microphone standing behind the referee. Like it's just something that like I feel like a and like I you know, I don't think I'm like that in real life, but like if I can like at least portray even like 1% of that on the microphone, then I will. And then as far as like when I wrestle the face, like I like my dad always told me like don't ever give up, man. Like keep pushing forward, keep doing what you're doing. So like I always try to like you know show that like perseverance and that like that will to keep fighting, that fighting spirit, like especially on my face. Like it comes up a little bit when I'm a heel, but like as far as the face, I try to like I think that's part of the personality that I feel like I put into my like face characters. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was like sitting there and I was looking through your Facebook earlier and you kind of shared this memory a little bit like a little bit earlier about Aaron the Greater kind of rejuvenating your career. So like what did you exactly mean by that? And can you kind of explain to us that whole story?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was the first Reactivate Pro Wrestling show after the pandemic. I think it was like 3 years ago to this date, actually, maybe even yesterday. Um, but I was the first match on that card. I was the first guy to walk out of that curtain, and I faced a gentleman by the name of Eddie Bates. And I didn't, unfortunately, I didn't win. But uh, Aaron the Greater, he kind of approached me after the show and was like, dude, like you're pretty sharp out there. Like I have some idea for you. If you want to, kind of just pitch ideas back and forth, like I see something in you. Like I don't know what it is yet, but we'll figure it out what it is. And at the time he had his own faction as well too. But not everyone came back after the pandemic. And just having him be ringside when I was like in the ring just gave me just a boost of confidence, especially how to like be a heel, how to use your manager, how to work the crowd with your manager and without your manager. Like it was like, dude, he doesn't actively wrestle anymore, but he's got such a brain for this business. Like, and I genuinely mean that. I feel like Aaron the Greater helped me like kind of rejuvenate my career. Like he saw something in me. I don't know if I hope I've lived up to his expectations because I do hold his opinion of how I'm progressing to a very high regard. Um, but like just having someone believe in you and then give you the ball and say, run with it, score it, throw it back over here, score it again. Like, man, like he, like I said, Aaron saw something in me, and like it means a lot that he's given me these opportunities at Reactivate and helped me kind of like achieve like a level of confidence I didn't know what I would have been able to achieve without him.
That is so interesting. Yeah, so it's like are you very kind of like critical on yourself as far as like your whole like your overall performance? And like how does it feel as a performer if you are so critical on yourself to actually get like good feedback on exactly what you're doing? Like how much does that kind of boost your confidence as far as what you're doing overall in the ring?
I actually am very, very, very critical of what I do in the ring. Same thing, especially with like storytelling stuff. The moves I don't really care as much about just because like anyone can do a move. But it's like the beats of a story that I really care about because like there's like a little emotional beats that like if the audience doesn't pick up on, then like the entire match can kind of go funky. Um, like it's and like as far as like getting advice too, like I don't want to sound like kind of pretentious about this, but I only want advice from like specific people. Like I feel like not everyone gives out the best advice. Sometimes they just want to hear themselves talk. Like I reserve like my advice to come from my coaches, um, peers that I ask, like specifically peers that I ask, the promoters,
Mhm.
or like veterans who everyone knows is going to give you advice. Also, like as far as like getting feedback, I hate hearing feedback where it's all good. Like I can't learn from that. I can't improve from that. I can't like look at that feedback. And say, cool, man. Like, what am I going to do with that? Like I'm very much into the like I'm on the flip side of that. If you tell me that like it sucked, cool, man. What can I do with that? But like I love feedback where I know
Mhm.
I can like build from that. And again, like
Yeah.
I have two college degrees, so like I hold myself to like a very high standard as far as like working hard on my craft and then also being able to execute the best product possible. I think that's what kind of hurt like my momentum with Mickey when we were the Golden Guys because like I was very critical of how I wanted us to present ourselves. I was very critical of like what the character should be. And then like, one thing led to another and then now we're here. But like as far as like, you know, how I approach my own work now, I'm still very critical of myself. I still ask my coaches for advice. I still ask the promoter what they thought about it. I still ask my peers that I ask, like, what did you think about it? What could we improve? Like, how do you feel about that? Like, I feel like if you think you're doing like the best job possible, you're probably not. Like, always ask for advice. Like, always ask for.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like how high of a standard do you actually like hold to yourself? Like cuz I know like there has to be some points in which like you said like you know that you can improve. So like how high of a standard do you have as far as your matches or stories or characters go in pro wrestling?
I hold them very high. Only for myself. As far as everyone else is concerned, as long as they're happy, as long as they're safe, as long as the promoter's happy, the fans are happy, you know, that makes me happy. But as far as myself, I'm very critical of like specifically story beats of like for like a match. Also like I hate bad chain wrestling. Like like Nicole Matthews, in my opinion, is one of the best chain wrestlers in the entire Pacific Northwest, probably in the entire world, honestly. So like if I like see her chaining, I try to like hold a level of like intensity and like technical prowess that she does. I know I'll never be even like 1/4 of that, but if I can at least strive to aim for that, like I feel like it's better for my spirit and my self confidence. But yeah, I hold myself very very high. Like, and I only do that because like I want to give the best product possible. I don't want to half-ass anything. I don't want to give out like product out there or like get like people pay to see these matches. Like if you're like half-assing it, like get out of the ring. Like let someone who will like go all out, for them to spend their time there, like do that. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, so like is it kind of like cuz like I've kind of like talked with other wrestlers as far as like the correlation between cooking and professional wrestling. It's like
Oh,
you would not want to give a half-ass performance to somebody who's paying $40, much like a cook would not want to give out a $40 meal that is not a $40 meal. You know, like
oh, absolutely, dude. Like I for like with like part-time jobs I work as a bartender, so like I get that, man. Like if my cooks are like putting out like half-assed food, dude, I'm sending that back. Like no, these guys just pay like $50 for like a New York steak. I'm not gonna give them, and they asked for medium well, you gave it to me medium rare. What are we doing? Like I love that analogy. Actually, I love that analogy.
Oh my gosh, man, that is amazing. So one thing that I was actually sitting there and I was talking to my brother Nathan and I was telling him that I was going to be interviewing you and I asked him if there's any question that he had for you. And he was asking, what is it like to be booed? Like, how
Oh
does that
man.
make you feel as a performer to actually be standing in the ring? Because I kind of get that like there has to be like a little bit of a difference between when you want to be booed and when you're trying to get something over and maybe it doesn't get over. How is that for you, like gauging as a performer?
Um, I'm a very firm believer. Silence is loud. If you are not getting any reaction, go a different route with it. Um, but as far as being booed, dude, like I'm telling you, man, like if can you imagine like if you were like in the ring and like you're doing cool stuff and no one's making a sound, that would just break your spirit. But as far as like getting booed from the crowd, like um, I have to send you this to you I have so many clips I have to send you. There's this have you heard of my pineapple shtick at Reactivate?
A little bit, yes. Yeah. Of like why people actually bring you a pineapple and whatnot. Yeah.
Yes. So like they boo me as well too. In fact, like the boos over there are probably the loudest boos I get anywhere else. Like just because like what Aaron the Greater and I are doing right now is I feel like we're like like Pippen and Jordan, but we're both Michael Jordan. But like yeah, like but getting booed in itself, it's honestly kind of overwhelming at first because your first initial reaction is like, why are you guys booing me? And then your next reaction is like you go through like the 7 stages of grief. Like first you're sad, then you start bargaining, then you get angry, then you get like acceptance, and then you have that moment of peace. That is like the stages of being booed. Um, but yeah, it's like it's I love getting booed at. I love when people boo. Honestly, I want people to throw trash at me one day. That's my goal. If I have someone throw like a chair at me while I'm in the ring getting booed, or they throw trash at me, then I've won. I won. Just my 2 cents.
Oh man. Yeah, almost like John Cena's entrance at One Night Stand 2006 when
Oh
people
yeah,
were just like throwing
bro. If I could be like an Uber face and then go into a hostile territory like that, what's funny actually? Every time I'm in Canada, if I'm a heel, I start USA chants, and now when I'm a heel in the States, I tell everyone that Canada is the best country in the world. It always works. It always works. It always works.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. That is so awesome. Well, I know earlier on in February we was the last time that we were sitting there talking. and you were talking about some of your goals for 2024. So, do you have any goals for the last 6 months of 2024?
Yeah, I have a couple. I want to compete in a ladder match before 2024 ends. I don't know how or what the opportunity will be to put me in that position, but I want that to happen. I have like a bucket list of people I want to face. Um, Specifically, I would love to face Thick Rick. If you've do you know of Thick Rick?
Mm-mm.
Uh, give him a look up
No.
one of these days. He's one of the most talented people in the area. I want to face Thick Rick. I want to run it back with Travis Williams in front of a crowd that someone records it because I faced him like a year ago and the footage got lost. And I also really want to face Drexel really, really bad, like at some point down the line. And then like as far as like a big third goal, I want to, and hopefully it happens this weekend. I want to go to California and wrestle, so I'll be able to mark that off my bucket list this year. Yeah, there's just I'm trying to keep it like as like if I'm gonna be honest with you, my biggest goal this year right now is to get my friends on other promotions. Is to get like Lionsgate Dojo seen at more US promotions. Like that's my biggest goal right now. To like the guys I've been training with to get them down to the States and have them showcase their talents in front of a new audience.
That is so interesting. Well, like I know that Drexel had said that this would probably be his last year performing as a professional wrestler. What do you think him leaving the scene as far as his influence is going to impact the Pacific Northwest when it comes to professional wrestling?
I had no idea that was happening. Um it's sorry, I'm like a little bit in shock right now. Um Drexel's one of the like biggest fixtures of professional wrestling in the area. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think there's anyone that can fill the void he's going to leave. I don't think there's anyone who is a better storyteller than Drexel. Especially as far as like
Mhm.
base story, like and knowing how to like leave people wanting more for like the next part of the story and the next part of the story, the next part of the story. Like the dude has like a brain that I don't think anyone's gonna be able to replicate in anytime soon. It's gonna leave a void. I don't and like God, I'm more worried about the bad deathmatch wrestling is gonna come about after Drexel leaves because like people are gonna be like, oh, this is for Drexel, oh, this is for Drexel. Like, oh god, I don't want to see that. That's what I'm most sad about. I'm also just like, wow, now I'm like really sad now. I didn't know Drexel was leaving.
Yeah, no, I just saw that on Facebook earlier this year where he said that like it could be his final year as
I
far
hope
as
not.
wrestling. Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely suck. One extreme moment that I wanted to bring up to you before we actually end up closing everything out it was I was just scrolling through Facebook and I watched this video that you had posted, and it was three people on the top rope and you were the top guy going down onto the mat, like a three-person suplex off of the top rope. I don't know exactly how that like yeah, I was just watching a video. Like, can you kind of like do you kind
Do you
of
know?
understand?
Do you know who else was in that clip? Was it Chris Brady?
I don't know. I don't know. That like I've gone through like so many times where like I've been trying to like find something like when once you see something
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I
Oh,
just
once
I
you
could
refresh it,
not
it's
find
gone.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't find it again and I was like I could have sworn I saw him come off the top turnbuckle. Like
I
it looked
I did
insane.
I did just have a match. It was a triple threat match for this company called Wrestle Your Friends in Seattle.
Mhm.
I had that happen with Chris Brady and Parm Singh Man recently. And dude, like Chris Brady like power bombed us. Like he sat out with it and everything. Dude, it's that those are kind of scary moves to take, I'll be honest with you. Cause like there's a brief moment where like you're in the air and then you realize that the guy who has you in the suplex is also going down too. You're like, oh, okay, this is gonna hurt both of us. Cool. But yeah, like those are scary moves. If it's the clip I'm thinking about that you're talking about, yeah, that was a scary move. Also, because like that was not a traditional wrestling crowd. I was like in like on like Capitol Hill, Seattle. I know it was for like a fundraiser, but like that crowd in general like lost their minds after that because like oh my god, they're dead. I'm like no, we're fine.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine actually sitting there and just taking a regular bump and then having something like that occur where you're going from maybe 10 feet in the air and just slamming down onto the mat. Like, it was insane when I saw that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. This little trade secret. If the higher you are, the less it hurts. Yeah, something to think
Interesting.
about. Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Not to say it doesn't hurt, but you have more surface area to kind of like have like absorb the shock of the bump. Like it still hurts, don't get me wrong, but like
Oh yeah.
if you were if you were to take like a snap suplex, that might hurt more than like taking like a top rope bump like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. That is
like
crazy.
I don't know the exact science behind it, but it's just because like your body's like up in the air like that, and then you like hit, like the mat absorbs everything as opposed to if you're like right here and hit, like there's nothing to absorb because you're just going like straight down. Something to think about it when you get into it.
That is so interesting. That is insane. So, before we actually end up closing everything out, what can we actually expect from your as far as Rashad Tyson is concerned?
You know, I got a couple goals we were already talking about earlier. I definitely want to run it back one of these days with Mickey Mantoya and the Golden Guys. We'll see how that goes down the road. But as far as my future is concerned too, like want to make it back down to Oregon one of these days, travel more the US, travel more Canada, go overseas and wrestle. And you know, like one thing at a time. I also want to like spend more time training at Lionsgate a little bit more this year. It's just with this heat, I have been like kind of like taking a back seat because I don't want to just die of heat stroke. And then like you know, I want to like I know, man, it's so hot. And then I also want to get like a little bit more my like social media presence back on there too. I think I've been kind of skipping like posting all my promos on like YouTube. I used to be more consistent about it, but like I have like 2 accounts now. Like one's like has my YouTube Premium, the other one doesn't, and the one that doesn't have my YouTube Premium is my like Real Talk account. It's a whole thing. I was just talking with my friends about this the other day. But yeah, that's like hopefully you're gonna see a lot more of me in the Pacific Northwest scene coming up, and you know, just go to your shows, support your local wrestling, support your friends who are in wrestling. But yeah, that's a kind of like the base of my goals going in for my future in the next couple of years, even just this year.
That is so freaking awesome, man. Well, I just want to thank you so very much for actually sitting down with me and just going throughout all of these questions. And you are actually the 3rd person to come 3 times on my podcast, which is freaking amazing to actually think about, man. Like, thank you so very much for every time that I've been able to actually sit down with you. It's been an absolute honor.
Dude, thank you for episode, and congrats on episode 100, man. Like, thank you for having me on episode 100. I was like, told me episode 100. I'm like, dude, I'm there. I was hoping to be 101 so I can do like spots. We can do like a 101 Dalmatians thing.
Oh man. All right, man. Well, I hope I can actually sit there and meet you soon in person, and hopefully, dude, you got to come down to Oregon here pretty soon, man, because it would be an absolute pleasure to be able to meet you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm like, you know, never say never. I don't think it's in the cards to make it down to Oregon anytime soon or to run it back with Mickey anytime soon. Like, I'm really focused on what I'm doing in Canada and what I'm doing in Washington right now. But you know, again, never say never. We'll see. And you know, year's not over yet. Still got plenty of time. And dude, congrats on episode 100 again, man. Dude, like I'm so stoked you're still doing this, man. Let's go. Let's go, my boys. Everyone out there, don't forget to subscribe to the Interesting Podcast, man. Let's go.
I appreciate that. All right, man. Well, before we actually end up closing everything out, maybe you can remind everybody exactly how they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe at the Rashad Tyson. That is TheRashadTyson on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and X, Twitter. Don't forget to also follow me on Real Talk on my Real Talk vlog on YouTube. That's at Real Talk Vlog or at Real Talk Rashad Tyson on YouTube. You can search up both those things and I will pop up. It's the same page. I don't know why YouTube won't monetize me. Yeah, that's other than that though, you can catch me at SOS this weekend. You can catch me at SOS this weekend. You can catch me in Sacramento at the Big Ugly Dojo on Saturday, and then next week you will catch me. I don't know, my dates are all over the place right now. I need a date planner for this. Yeah, that's about it though. At the Rashad Tyson on Instagram and all social media platforms.
That is amazing, man. All right. Well, I hope you have a very, very good night, and I cannot wait to talk to you soon.
Absolutely, Cody. Thanks for having me. Congrats on episode 100, man. I will see you for episode 200.
All right. Well, all right, you guys. So that was Interesting's podcast interview with Rashad Tyson. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And remember to go and follow Rashad Tyson on Facebook, Instagram,